Now I'm going to give you some tips on how to control your sugar cravings, but before I do that, I want to explain another topic that is really important for this video, and that is what is called the glycemic index. And the glycemic index is also known as the GI. That basically lists foods according to how fast they enter your bloodstream. The sugar molecules enter your bloodstream. So the standard is 100, and that is for white bread. And the scale goes from 1 to above 100. So white bread is very high. It enters your bloodstream very quickly, spiking your blood glucose levels. Now, there are low glycemic foods that affect your bloodstream very evenly. They're not going to cause a big spike. There are medium glycemic foods, and then there are high glycemic foods, and those high glycemic foods are going to cause that spike and cause that cycle of you getting hungry, having cravings, and that's what you want to avoid. So you can actually control, to a degree, your hunger, your sugar cravings, just by what type of glycemic index foods you are consuming. So for example, if you eat something that is a high glycemic index, like a candy bar, that's going to release a lot of sugar into your bloodstream at one time, which is going to cause your blood sugar to spike very dramatically. If you eat something like an apple, which has a low glycemic index, the sugar that is found in that apple is actually going to enter your bloodstream at a consistent level and not cause that spike. Now, for example, think about if you had two different foods next to each other, and they're equal in calories, but one was a high glycemic index food and one was a low glycemic index food. Well, the high glycemic index food, maybe it's a cookie, that would cause a dramatic spike in your blood sugar, which causes your pancreas to release insulin to bring it back down, but then it can go too low, which causes low blood sugar and your hunger cravings, and then you are craving your sugar again. Well, if you are eating the low glycemic index food, it actually will release the sugar that it contains at a steady, slow pace. So you're not going to get that up and down of your blood glucose. It's going to stay pretty normal, and the energy that you get from that low glycemic food will actually last a longer period of time. And that's what you want to know when you want to maintain a normal glucose level, because that's what can keep you from constantly getting hungry and craving sugar. Now, the low glycemic index foods, which are those foods that are on the scale 55 or below, are skim milk, plain yogurt, sweet potato, oat bran bread, all bran, which is a cereal, parboiled rice, pumpernickel bread, al dente or firm pasta, lentils, kidney or baked beans, oranges, plums, and apples. Now, the medium glycemic index foods are the range from 56 to 69, and those foods are bananas, pineapples, raisins, oatmeal, popcorn, split peas, brown rice, couscous, basmati rice, shredded wheat cereal, whole wheat bread, and rye bread. And the high glycemic foods are watermelon, instant mashed potatoes, baked white potatoes, parsnips, rutabaga, instant rice, corn flakes, Rice Krispies, Cheerios, bagels, crackers, jelly beans, French fries, and soft drinks. We've gotten some comments about people saying don't eat your fruit because it has sugar in it, but I want to point out that most of the fruit that you're going to eat is actually on the low or the medium glycemic index range. So it's not going to cause a high spike in your blood sugar like, junk food and desserts and sodas and things like that are going to cause. And in fact, an apple would be a really good choice to regulate your blood sugar. And not only does fruit have low or medium glycemic index, it has tons of vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, and enzymes. So it's a very good choice. Don't think that just because it has sugar in it, it's a bad choice, because it's not. Start replacing high glycemic index foods with low glycemic index foods. Now at first you're still going to have cravings because you're not going to get that surge in blood sugar from the low glycemic foods, but if you can do it over a long enough period of time, if you can taper off your sugar intake over a long enough period of time, your body will get balanced. Now I'm going to put a link to a list of glycemic index foods on the video description. So look there and click on there, and that way you can review the foods and know what to start eating and what to start limiting. So keep that in mind. And then also I just really want to point out that if you do start choosing low glycemic foods over the high glycemic index foods, you're actually going to be able to reduce your sugar cravings, reduce your appetite, and lose weight overall. There really is not a replacement for a healthy diet. Now basically what sugar addiction is your body's inability to regulate that homeostatic blood glucose level without the high sugar consumption. So your body gets so used to you getting all this sugar that it needs it in order to stay balanced. Now the good news is that if you can just reduce your sugar consumption long enough, your body will become balanced on its own and it'll learn to function without that high sugar. The bad news is that those sugar cravings are a pain and they can be very intense and very hard to deal with. But I'm going to give you some tips on how to conquer your sugar cravings.